most important part of my life for a long time. In such a long time, it's hard to put into words exactly how I feel about you. You're beautiful every single day, and I think everyone would agree you look exceptionally beautiful today.
Yes.
We've shared so much over the years, had our fair share of arguments, and I think it's safe to say more than our fair share of laughter. I don't think this has been a single day that's gone by, regardless of arguments, where we haven't laughed at something. So thank you for that. You take care of so much in our lives with that word that we play. You keep me in order on so many things, some of which I don't even know about. Tax evasion. Throughout our relationship, we've grown closer and stronger as a couple, and I know it will continue to grow for the rest of our lives. I can't wait to spend the rest of my life with you, to laugh, to love, and to share everything that comes our way, no matter what.
Well, Andy.
I honestly feel I feel like the luckiest man alive to meet, fall in love with, and marry my best friend.
Well done.
Oh.
Now, I assume some of you here won't know Andy particularly well, and by the time I'm finished, you'll probably wish you didn't know him at all. On behalf of the bridesmaids and everybody else, Andy, thank you for your kind words, Andrew. And before I start destroying Andy's reputation, may I first compliment Linsey for looking exceptionally lovely today. Not to mention all the bridesmaids and the mothers of the bride and groom in East and Fran, who all look fantastic.
Yay!
I must admit, I felt very privileged to be asked by Andy to be his best man. We've been friends since we were old enough to walk. However, being 8 months older than me, in our toddler days, he spent a lot of time pushing me over. You see, back in those days, I was a little bit unsteady on my feet. But don't worry, I got Andy back on his stag do, because for 3 days he could barely walk. On that note, Jim, did you find your phone?
No, but I got my shoes as well.
Good. Anyway, Andy and I grew up in Devon, living in each other's pockets. We helped each other through the trials and tribulations of young life and, of course, young love. We spent many hours on the PlayStation together, but never really discussed fashion or how to look cool. If we had, maybe this wouldn't have happened. Yes, and he did sport a mohawk when he was 18 years old. And I'd like to say I advised him not to, but it was me that shaved his head. At a similar stage of life, Andy was trying to impress the local ladies. Clearly the mohawk alone wasn't doing the trick. This is where my first tale begins. It was a balmy summer's evening in 2004 when Andy had recently passed his driving test. He was cruising around in his old Ford Fiesta, called Lulu, whilst listening to Wham. I'll set the scene for you. Don't wake me up, cause I'm not planning on going solo. I digress. Anyway, he was coming to pick me up, and in an attempt to impress the local ladies, may have been driving a little hastily. As he pulled in, he mounted the curb and popped his front left tyre. All in all, not a good look. Now, Linsey, in light of all this, we're very thankful that you took pity on Andy and married him today. I can see you've been regretting the decision since. It's been hard to stomach. But Linsey, you may well be aware that Andy has a second love in his life. In an attempt to put this politely, it's for one of his own 100% organic bodily products. Although not so much today. Don't worry, I'm not going to tell that story. You know the one I'm talking about, but there are a couple of other stories to tell. Whilst at university, Andy had a little notebook. In which he used to keep a log of his bowel movements. If you'll excuse the pun. In this log of logs, Andy would name them alphabetically like hurricanes. And gave them marks out of 10. Over several categories. Apparently G for Geraldine was a particular delight. One further tale of Andy's toilet habits begins on a beach in France at the tender age of 6. Fran and Mick had taken the children out for a lovely day by the coast, but Andy was soon to soil that memory forever. As nature called, Andy did what any diligent 6-year-old at a beach with no toilets would do, and dug himself a hole. He took off his pants and placed them neatly on a nearby rock whilst he went about his business. Unfortunately for Andy, in the meantime the tide had rolled in and washed his pants away, leaving the poor lad completely naked in a foreign country. He had to strut about nude for the rest of the day, but luckily his stricken undergarments were captured in a fishing net by some French kids. Assuming they must belong to the weird English child who'd been naked all day, they kindly returned to Andy, who was able to regain some of his dignity. Having known Andy for so long, it is especially lovely to see how special his relationship with Linsey is, and it's been a pleasure watching their love grow over the last 6 years, and how happy she has made him. Now, one of the best man's duties is to impart some wisdom to his dear chum who is tying the knot. So, Linsey, if you could put your left hand on the table, and Andy, if you could put your left hand on top of Linsey's. Today you've both made a commitment to one another, and the rings you are wearing symbolise never-ending love. Now cherish this moment forever, Andy, because it's the last time you have the upper hand in this relationship. It's clear to see that these two scientists complement each other perfectly, and one such example of this is how Linsey manages to organise Andy, who is renowned for his laissez-faire attitude. Andy and Linsey store some of their belongings beneath their bed in a series of boxes. Word on the grapevine tells me that Linsey labels all the boxes with what is in each one, and if Andy adds or removes anything from the box, it must be recorded. Well, let me tell you, the boy's never been this organised since the days of the Pooh Diary. All joking aside, it has been these organisational skills that have made today so perfect and run so smoothly. It's a real honour to share this day with you both, and as I said before, I feel very privileged to be your best man. Andy, you're one of my oldest and dearest friends, and I'm so happy you found Lindsay to spend the rest of your life with. You'd make a fantastic mate, and you two make a fantastic couple. So on behalf of everyone here, I'd like to wish you all the best for the future. Therefore, if you could all join me and be upstanding, raise your glasses for the bride and groom.
Bride and groom.